Hello and welcome to Prepper Nation. Thank you very much for being here. Most of you are usual suspects, but there are a few new faces. So thank you for checking out Prepper Nation. Maybe hit subscribe on your way out the door this morning. Whatever you want to do, son. It ain't no pressure over here. Y'all remember Elvira? I thought, how cool would it be if Elvira did this playlist? Because I'm putting together a mini playlist and we're going to add to it from time to time, kind of scenarios and how to prep for certain scenarios. Horror themed, of course, because why not? I'm cheesy in that way. But then I got to thinking, with the whole beaver talk and the beaverines over here, she'd never go for that, son. She wouldn't put up with it. But shout out nonetheless to Elvira. So this morning, we talking about something scary. We are talking about milk sandwiches or milk sandwiches, as some people out there would like to say. What are milk sandwiches? It's very hard to explain. That's what they are. I don't know if it's a regional thing or this is nationwide, but in my region, I live in the South, y'all. Just for you newbies out there, we call them milk sandwiches, but it's this cultural phenomenon, son, if you will, where bad weather is expected and people rush to the grocery store and they key in on bread, milk, and eggs, and I have no idea why. Again, in the South, we call these milk sandwiches, but I have no idea why these three particular items. I don't know if this is like 150-year-old deal, tracking down the milkman, whatever. I digress. The point is, most of us, if not all of us, have experienced this at some point in time. Usually it revolves around snow, but it can be any kind of severe weather, right? As we were talking about yesterday, if you have that advance notice, now, again, sometimes stuff pops up out of the blue. Tornadoes are really bad for that. They'll pop up. You've got 5 minutes notice. You get the alert on your phone or whatever, your TV, seek shelter immediately. But in most cases, we've gotten so advanced, the weather people and stuff, when they get it right, that days in advance. As we were talking about yesterday, 48 hours, maybe even 72 hours out, if a blizzard is expected or if a hurricane is on the way, this sort of thing. What is your plan for that? That's what we're talking about this morning. I'm going to go over my plan for it. We don't get very many hurricanes. I'm far enough inland to where if there is a hurricane on the East Coast, we mostly get lots of rain and some wind, but it's downgraded at that point, not even to a tropical storm. So 48 to 72 hour notice. What is your plan? What changes as a prepper for you? You should be at that point mostly prepared anyway, but how do you spend that 48 to 72 hours? How do you utilize that time? Because that's the last call, if you will. Uncle Charlie, if he's out there, he'll understand what I'm saying when I'm saying last call. This is it. Get the last one in before it all breaks loose. Where do you shop? We're going to be talking about that this morning. What should you key in on and be stacking? Because again, as a prepper, maybe you're new, but most people have stuff stacked to the rafters already. So what do you key in on during that last moment, and what to expect from other people once the SHTF hits? Now, again, most of us have experienced this to some degree. It's going to look wildly different, okay? For example, if you live on the coast and it's hurricane season, that's going to look different than it would for somebody in Colorado. that gets snow all of the time and stuff like this. So first and foremost, I'm thinking, is it going to be safe to remain at home indoors? All right, that's paramount. And again, getting into hurricanes for a second, that's a personal decision that you're going to have to make. Um, and again, we don't really have to deal with that all too much for us. It's mainly blizzards, and I feel okay at home. I would much rather be at home than I would be, out there somewhere during a blizzard situation. But for hurricanes, that can be different depending on the strength of the hurricane. Um, and also, I'm thinking, is it going to be too hot or too cold? What am I talking about there? So, in my area, if we are expecting a blizzard, it's pretty much common knowledge that it's in the middle of the winter. So I'm thinking, with this question, should the grid fail? With blizzards, with hurricanes, with whatever, there's a high likelihood at some point the grid is going to fail. Is it going to be too cold to stay put? Do I have heating options? Should the grid fail in Arizona? Is it going to be too hot for you to stay put? Should you come up with an alternate plan? This is the kind of stuff that you must be thinking about. You've also got to get into and this is a dangerous place to be, son, but you got to kind of get into the mind of a zombie for a second. You've got to figure out, because believe it or not, to my experience, just experience here on my part, zombies work in patterns. And I don't always understand what the patterns are. I don't understand, as we were talking about yesterday, toilet paper gate. I don't understand the hoarding of toilet paper during the pandemic, but I digress. They seem to work in patterns. What I've noticed being in grocery stores and things just prior to a snowstorm here, lots of shopping patterns. They tend to target certain things, and this has really never made sense to me. So they will target frozen dinners, frozen pizzas, yes, frozen fish sticks and things like this, and of course your bread, milk, and eggs. And I'm thinking, if this person's not a prepper, how in God's name do they plan to prepare this food if the grid is going down? I mean, they're prepping kind of backwards, and that's how you know it's a zombie. I mean, they're not keying in on stuff like peanut butter, or canned meats and things, canned vegetables. They're keying in on the frozen section specifically. That's how you can tell a zombie, from your preppers. So again, get into the milk sandwiches. I don't understand it. Maybe somebody wants to drop it in the comments and let me know. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over, I wrote down pretty much a plan. This tends to be the plan when we have a weather event coming here at the Ponderosa. So, and plans are going to vary. Be sure and drop yours in the comments if you want to. It's up to you. So for us, major chain stores and gas stations are they're out of bounds at this point. All right, because I don't know what it is, but that 48 hours, that 24 hours, and especially like 12 or 8 hours before. Some people wait until, I ain't kidding you, till the last hour, the twilight, if you will, before the snowstorm hits. They are packed in the grocery stores. They're jamming the gas stations up. I don't know why people wait till the last minute. Now, the good news is you should already have enough gas as a prepper. I'm not saying that you have to have 2,000 gallons prepped up out back or anything like this, but you should have enough. Reasonably, you should have enough gasoline in your home. I think this is my opinion, to fill your vehicle up once and have enough to take with you in a vehicle in case you would, start to get low on gas and you're trying to get away from the threat. Okay. That's my reasoning behind that. I store that much up at least. I always end up using it on lawnmowers and weed eaters and stuff like this, but you should already have gas as a prepper, especially if you're in a rural setting. Major chain stores. This is one of the kind of the trends. if you will. Zombies go to what is familiar. And for a lot of people, that's going to be your major grocery stores. That's going to be your Walmarts. That's going to be your Costco's. They're going to hit these places. So these places are madhouses. Right. I mean, seriously, if you've ever been in Walmart 2 hours before a snowstorm is supposed to hit, or, a major grocery store, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The place is total chaos. It looks like supermarket sweep in there. So as a prepper, my plan is, we probably have enough here already, but why not take advantage of this 48-hour period or whatever, whatever it happens to be? Why not go through one more time and grab extra stuff just in case? Now I'm going to go over a list of stuff in a minute, but I'm looking at your smaller, your Dollar Generals, your Family Dollars, man, even your Dollar Trees to an extent. I'm looking at family-owned stores, hardware stores, very small grocery stores, maybe independently owned. I'm looking at Amish stores at this point, just stuff that's kind of out of bounds to the zombie, because again, they're going to what they know. They don't know the Amish store because they've probably never set foot in one in their entire life. They're not really looking at Dollar General because, it's one of those places where they just stop here and there, whatever, but mainly they do their shopping at places like Walmart, okay? So I'm asking myself the question. This is one of the first questions I ask when we're getting ready to have a weather event. My wife's really good about this, by the way, because she stacks extra. It's the first thing that comes to her mind. Water. Believe it or not, during a snowstorm, yeah, there's going to be plenty of water outside that we can source and we can purify and stuff. Do I have enough water, and do I have the ability to heat water? You got to be able to answer those two questions. And if the answer is no on either question, that should be your focus right now as a prepper. Have enough water, have extra water. If you think you're going to need 3 gallons a day, go ahead and shoot for 4 or 5 gallons a day. Overshoot on the water would be and again, if you have a blizzard coming, yeah, you can harvest snow and you can turn that into water, but there's really no need to if you've prepped water. That should be a last resort. Snow is great. We have extra coolers. Snow is great to pack your frozen foods in, put snow in it. And, the next day as it's melting off, put more snow in it. You can preserve food that way. That's mainly what we've used snow for. And again, can you heat it? Do you have the ability to heat water, to cook and stuff like this? Um, do we have the ability to charge? Not everything in the home. I'm one of those guys where I'm not trying to power everything in my home during a snowstorm. The ability is out there, but you're talking to either a major solar setup or you're going to chew through a lot of gas on generators. Do we have the ability to charge the smaller things up? Phones, radios, this sort of thing. And another big one that people forget, I think, and this is because we've lived through so many snowstorms and things, okay? Cleanup and hygiene. So cleanup can be a disaster when the grid is down. If you've ever experienced the grid down for more than a couple of days, maybe you know what I'm talking about here. Have extra contractor bags, number one. So you can put waste in it. You can get it out of the home. You can get it wherever, away from the home, until the blizzard passes or whatever weather event, okay? But also have things like paper plates, plastic forks and spoons, paper cups. You're not trying to do dishes when the grid is down, because been there, done that. It's a miserable experience. It takes a long time to accomplish that. It's just so much easier. I hate the word convenience, but it really does apply during that time. You know, have stuff that you can wipe down counters. I know y'all got plenty of this stuff, but like the Lysol wipes and the Clorox wipes and stuff go a long way. Baby wipes and stuff like this go a long way. Have a way to brush your teeth. Make sure you've got plenty of deodorant, stuff like this, okay? Um, Getting back to it for a second, can we stay cool or can we stay warm, depending on what region you're in? So again, if you're in Arizona, can you stay cool enough to where you're out of kind of the danger zone. If you're in Colorado in the middle of a snowstorm, do you have the ability at home to stay warm enough to stay out of that danger zone? It's pretty self-explanatory, but I got to mention it. Can we treat minor injuries and illnesses here at home? All right. We're not performing surgery during a blizzard. Hopefully, we will never need to, right? But if something minor happens, if we have, a cut or an abrasion or a burn or something like that, do we have the stuff here to treat it at home to where we're not trying to get out in the middle of a blizzard and get to the emergency room or whatever? Make sure you have that kind of stuff at home. Can you treat toothaches? Can you treat headaches? This sort of stuff, okay? Diarrhea. I know people don't like talk about that, son, but do you have what you need for that? This sort of stuff. Is your vehicle ready just in case? So you should have a plan, and then you should have a backup to the plan because things change. So what if you believe that you have everything you need, and then you realize, okay, I'm in a really dangerous situation. If I stay here, we may freeze, that sort of thing, or we may face heat exhaustion. It's time to go. Is your vehicle fully gassed? Is it the routine maintenance done? Do you have bags or we actually have a small tote now in our vehicle, but do you have bags and things in there just in case you would get halfway to where you're going and have to get out and walk? Can you stay warm in a snowstorm? This sort of stuff. Again, last resort. You really don't want to leave in the middle of a blizzard. But again, getting back to it, if something major medically happens, and the only way to get somebody to help is to try and drive them, is the vehicle ready to go to the best of your ability? Do I have a designated lights out area? So what I mean by this is we have a tote. We have several ammo, the huge ammo cans as well, but we have a tote specifically for this. All right. When the lights go out, the tote comes out. Or if we even suspect we start to get flickering, the tote comes out. The tote has wool blankets in it. The tote has extra socks in it. The tote has, all of this is cheap stuff, cheap toboggans in it, and stuff like this. And then the ammo cans have your flashlights, your batteries, your candles, the hot hands, the chem lights, the whole 9 yards. This way, we can see and we can stay warm if need be. Highly suggest that you put a corner off in your home or in a closet or something and designate that as the kind of the lights out sort of deal. Okay. Lights go out, everything's ready to snatch. You're not trying to gather this stuff in a dark house, is what I'm trying to say. Are you set up to batch cook? You know what I'm saying with batch cooking? Batch cooking has proven to be a lifesaver um, several times. When we've had the grid go down and it's snowing outside, the snow's beautiful out there, and I love snow. To be honest with you, it's probably my favorite weather, that and rain, but I digress. The point is, if you can batch cook, you're only having to cook once a day or once every other day, something like this, because you have the ability to, God, that coffee's strong, to reheat it and stuff like this. And also along those lines, do you have plenty of open and eat or open and drink foods? All right. Not necessarily zombie foods, but you should have some. You should have, some bottles of Gatorade, for example, that are just open and drink. You should have Pop Tarts. You should have tuna pouches, stuff like this, where you can just open it and eat it out of the pouch or eat it out of the bag. Not too much of that because, again, especially with the Pop Tarts and stuff, it's not going to last an eternity. But have some of that on hand, especially if you're making one last trip to the store 48 hours before, 24 hours before. Go through a Dollar General and maybe key in on the ready-to-eat stuff before the zombies get there. How long? Ask yourself this question. How long could you feasibly survive at home? How long could you do it if you got snowed into your home to where you could not get out the doors or the windows, how long could you possibly survive in your home? How many supplies do you have there? How much lighting do you have there? The whole 9 yards. You want to shoot for a couple of weeks. That's my advice. Let me know what you think in the comments, but I'm looking at a couple of weeks to begin with. You want to extend that number as you can afford to do it and as you have the space to do it. But you want to have enough on hand for 2 weeks, you and your entire family, for 2 weeks. That's a good starting spot for me. And finally, are people coming to your home? Friends and extended family. Okay, I'm not talking about the collapse of the world here. In some cases, you may have family members that'll call you up, or maybe it's planned out already, and they're like, "Hey, can I crash at your place and kind of ride this blizzard out?" Are they coming to stay? Are they bringing anything? I don't think it's over the line to ask them if they're coming. I need you to bring some stuff with you. Here's the list, this sort of stuff. Maybe you send them out during that final 48 hours with the list and you're like, pick this stuff up, bring it back, and then you can stay. And if you're going to allow that to happen, and I've ran into this in the past, please designate sleeping areas prior to everybody just showing up. It makes life a lot easier when people get there and they know what kind of their personal space is at. They can go over in the corner of, the living room, for example, and that's their spot until the thing is over. To my experience, people are not walking on top of each other the entire time and getting cabin fever and just trying to get out of there. So anyway, that is milk sandwiches at a glance, folks. Thank you for listening and watching this morning. It is truly appreciated. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about a nightmare, and it is scary, son. Sort of. The thumbnail art will give it away tomorrow. But until then, y'all take care, and God bless.